Well, hi there. Warm welcome. You're watching Times Now's Blueprint Explosive Exclusive, and I'm Meghna Deka. Well, how many of us rely on our GPS to navigate us back home safely? Well, I know I do. But what if I tell you that you may just get a roadmap to death? That blind trust on GPS technology and ignoring human instincts may get you killed. Let's tell you how GPS navigation led to the tragic death of 3 men in Badaयूं of Uttar Pradesh as they plunged to their death 50 feet below into a river. You can see the visuals there. That is the bridge that they were traveling on, and this is the distance of 50 feet from where they plunged. So what really happened? Well, these 3 men were headed for a wedding, following Google Maps. Now, they climbed over a bridge which was washed out due to rains earlier this year itself. Reports suggest that there were no barricades or any signages alerting the car as per the family. The car was allegedly at high speed as well, and it couldn't stop in time. It fell 50 feet below into the river, killing all 3 people in that small wagoner instantly. You can see that chilling visual, and this is where the car was allegedly speeding past, and then that was a 50 feet drop from where the bridge had ended, and it fell right into the river below. So watch this Times Now ground report, which is coming in from the site of the accident.
मौके पर अभी इस समय कोई भी रास्ता जो है वो कार से जाने का दिखाई नहीं देता है, जबकि बताया ये जा रहा था कि यहाँ पर गूगल मैप का सहारा लेकर ये जो कार चालक हैं वो इस पुल पर चढ़े थे। लेकिन इस समय हम यहाँ पर चूँकि जो खड़े हुए हैं वहाँ पर लगातार ये प्रयास कर रहे हैं कि अगर यहाँ से हम सामने से फरीदपुर तहसील की तरफ जाएंगे तो कैसे जो है गूगल इस रास्ते को दिखा रहा था। लेकिन चूँकि रियलिटी चेक में ये बिल्कुल साफ दिखाई दे रहा है कि मोबाइल में किसी भी तरह का जो गूगल मैप है वो यहाँ पर नहीं दिखा रहा है कि सामने से की तरफ से कोई रास्ता है। इस दीवार की अगर हम बात करें तो ये दीवार बीच से टूटी हुई थी, जिसमें आप ताजा निर्माण अभी मौके पर करा हुआ देख सकते हैं, जिसको आज खबरों को सुर्खियों में आने के बाद अब इसका निर्माण किया गया है। और पीडब्ल्यूडी के अधिकारियों ने बताया कि 4 से 5 दिन पहले ये उनको ज्ञात था कि ये दीवार यहाँ से टूट चुकी है, लेकिन जब तक वो इसका निर्माण करा पाते तब तक इस यहाँ पर ये हादसा हो गया, जिसके बाद अब डीएम बदायूं की तरफ से 4 अधिकारियों के खिलाफ यहाँ पर एक मुकदमा दर्ज कराया गया है। और अब सुबह से ही यहाँ पर ये प्रयास किए जा रहे हैं कि आगे इस तरह की कोई दुर्घटना ना हो, तो इसको लेकर यहाँ पर पत्थर के अवरोध भी लगाए गए हैं, बोर्ड भी लगाया गया है, और इस जो टूटी हुई दीवार है उसको भी मरम्मत कर दिया गया है।
So this is going to be a call-in show. You, the viewers, can connect with us directly. We're asking you, can you blindly have faith on your GPS technology? But the next big question is, can you really sue the GPS company over it? Well, the simple answer, as per legal experts, is no. But why not? Well, we are listing it out to you. The first reason is that the terms and conditions which are there in these maps, be it Google or any other intermediary service provider, is that they explicitly disclaim any liability for any inaccuracies which may occur. They also have a disclaimer of liability for any unforeseen hazard, as this case would have fallen into. The third one is that the courts can, as they have in the past, uphold the disclaimers as well as the conditions that they have put for liability, protecting service providers. And after all, let's not forget, as per India's IT Act, intermediaries are indeed shielded from any liabilities for anything they had no direct knowledge of due to damage to road, for example. So they are essentially just intermediaries. They are relying on publicly available data, and they are not real-time updates, as one would hope they would be. So let me go across to our panelists, and then I'll take across some of the viewers as well. So today joining us on the show, we have Lloyd Matthias, a business executive and an independent director. Also, Dr. Sudhir Krishna is joining us, a former Secretary, Ministry of Urban Development. Before I come to you, Mr. Krishna, let me go, Dr. Krishna, I'll go across to Lloyd Matthias. Lloyd Matthias, if you can explain to us, is it true that in a situation like we have seen this time around in Uttar Pradesh, you cannot possibly sue the intermediary, because at the end of it, they are only using publicly available data. They can always go to court and say, we did not know that that bridge had actually collapsed a few months back.
Thank you for having me on your show, Meghna. It's sad, but it's true that technically there will be no grounds for suing Google Maps or any GPS operator for that matter, because as they say in the fine print, the legal disclaimers are very clear that since they're intermediaries and they're actually purveying and they're playing off publicly available data, in this case, let's say maps that are available in the public domain, they are not liable to people misusing it. Having said which, I think if one was to look at the fact that this is truly a tragedy and lives getting lost are never easy and never good, I think the two biggest culpability, I think the first clearly is on the local administration. To have a half-built flyover not blocked out for any access, pedestrian or specifically vehicular, I think is absolutely unpardonable, right? So the local administration, even if there was work going on, had to make sure that the road access was blanked out. And two, I think there ought to have been any other secondary way where it could kind of prevent people, miscreants, anyone actually having access to an unfinished road. So I think that's where the singular problem lies, in my opinion.
Well, in fact, let me quickly go across to Dr. Sudhir Krishna also. He's, after all, someone who has worked very closely in the Urban Development Ministry as well. Dr. Krishna, there should have been signages, and that is completely unpardonable, isn't it? Even if you are following maps, the question is, why wasn't that bridge completely cordoned off?
Absolutely. I think this is not the only reason. I mean, cordoning off is one aspect, and bridges should have lighting also. If the bridges have to have lighting as per rules.
Yes.
And which is not in use, or any road which is not should to be used has to be completely cordoned off. And also there should be signages also. These are all as per the Indian Road Congress mandate, I am telling. It is not that it is a personal prescription. And there has to be signages. The signages should have fluorescent light also, in the sense that in the night you should be able to understand. The signages should be in different languages also. The languages which travelers normally, people of which linguistic requirement use it. At least Hindi and English is mandatory. And that should be like that also. And I don't think the GPS will show normally. And your colleague also, the reporter also was showing that the GPS is showing the map. So apparently the road must have been there and the people traveled there because there are no barricade, no signage, no lights at all. And it was night. So it has happened. In fact, much worse things have happened in Morbi and in Faridabad. We all recollect, where the things were. Yes, here I don't think the GPS company is really liable. It is squarely the responsibility of the road agency. In the bridges have to be inspected regularly as per the bridge code, as per the Indian Road Congress, and as per so many guidelines of Ministry of Road Transport.
Absolutely.
Every bridge has to be inspected. So many, if the people do not follow the
guidelines are there. The guidelines are there. And as Dr. Krishna points out, the guidelines are there, but it's not being followed and it is not being enforced by the authorities on the ground. That's probably one of the problems. Let me go across to some of our callers. Captain Jaspal is calling us. Dr. Rakesh, Purushottam, Mohan, and several other of our viewers are here with us. Let me go across to Captain Jaspal, our viewer calling us from Rohtak. Go ahead, sir.
Good evening to your elite panel. You see, whenever there is a apathy of this nature, where your fundamental right to go to a work or move from place A to B is adversely affected, minimum compensation should be given is 5 crores. Recover from the other agencies, now you will have 20 of them. There should have been 3 barricades. There should have been lights. Even an animal should not be able to pass through such a place. Unless you are talking of suing Google, none of the family member will go to the Supreme Court. That is the whole tragedy. Thank you very much.
You're absolutely right. Thank you so much. I appreciate you calling in. Let me go across to our next viewer calling us. Dr. Rakesh is calling us from Delhi. Go ahead.
Yeah, regarding this GPS, we cannot follow it regularly and blindly, because I was once traveling from Kumbhalgarh to Kevadia to see the Statue of Unity, and there also Google Map took me into a desert area where there was nothing. There was no lights, nothing, no villages. Absolutely. And then Google was saying, go straight, go straight. And luckily I used my brain and came back all the way and then got onto the road. So we cannot trust Google blindly. You have to use your brain also. Even in Delhi, sometimes when you are using Google, it is not 100% correct.
Absolutely.
You have to use your common sense also.
Well, that's a very significant point that you're making. It's not about blindly following technology. Human instincts also need to be sharpened, as some of us have a tendency, and this includes me as well. Even if you know the way home, you'll still put your GPS on. You know the way, you still would rely on technology to guide you home. And this has also happened in the past, where GPS says you can go up straight, but there's no road ahead. What do you do in situations like this? Let me go across to one of our viewers, Purushottam, calling us from Chennai. Go ahead, Purushottam.
Yeah. Good evening, madam.
Good evening,
This
Purushottam.
is atrocious. You know, we can't blame just Google alone. What is that local administration is doing? It is the primary responsibility of the local administration to cordon off such areas that it doesn't lead to some logical place. Do they not know that this road is leading to such havoc? How can they make the citizen go through that kind of a road? GPS comes only secondary. What is the local administration doing? They have to be held responsible. They should be called to pay for the compensation.
You're absolutely right.
Anyway.
You're absolutely right about that, and I think we all agree on that. Let me go across to Mohan, a viewer calling us from Chennai. Mohan.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead, Mohan.
Yeah, actually, this is absolute carelessness on the part of the administration. You know, they should put up signages warning of the broken bridge. Everybody was aware of the broken bridge. They should put very prominent signages all along the road. And this is absolute carelessness on the part of the administration.
Carelessness on the part of the administration. Also request all our viewers, when you give us a call, please to put your television sets on mute. Otherwise, there's going to be a delay. It'll interrupt while you speak. Meanwhile, let's also tell our viewers how blind faith on GPS in the past too has led to disastrous outcomes. In Kerala, a car had fallen into the Periyar River. In fact, let me go across and show to you on the big screen as well as to what had happened in this case. In Kerala, as I was telling you, one of the instances, a car had fallen into the Periyar River. Unfortunately, 2 lives were lost, 3 people were injured. This happened on the 2nd of October. The second instance comes in where a Hyderabad tourist's car had plunged into the Kottayam Canal, as the Google Maps there had shown them the wrong route. You have some of these visuals which are coming in of what had happened, disastrous outcomes of following GPS blindly. The third example again comes in from Kerala, where following Google Maps, a man drives his car into a river in Kasargod. This happened in 2024 in June earlier this year. You can see the outcome of that. In Kerala again, you have another instance which is coming in. A car had fallen into a stream in Wayanad after following Google Maps, and as you can see in these visuals, a terrible accident and 3 people were injured as this car crashed. In fact, there are several such instances in the past. So let me go back across to some of our viewers and try and take in some of their calls. But before that, I'll quickly go across to Mr. Matthias, because it's important for us to listen to what one of our viewers had also said, that it's not just about blindly following technology. It's important that all of us also use our basic instincts. If you know that there are no lights, something seems off, don't speed up the bridge. For example, Mr. George Matthias.
Thanks, Meghna. Sorry, I didn't figure that question was soon. I think that's right. I think just having blind faith in technology and just assuming that Google Maps is showing you the way. I think one has to use a certain degree of using one's common sense and really looking through it. But having said which, I think large global technology service providers, I think despite the fine print and all the rest of it, I think have an additional level of responsibility when it comes to something as serious as traffic navigation, right? So when it comes to, let's say there are women drivers driving, I think it's not unfair to expect that our GPS providers, including Google or including someone as large as Google, kind of call out a certain warning saying that this is not a very well traversed road or this is a kacha road. Very often, like one of your callers pointed out, you end up reaching, pretty much roads that are virtually impossible to navigate, right? Kacha roads, no lighting. I think there has to be some kind of hazardous warning that has to be built in. Remember that, Google is clearly the largest provider of, map GPS services in the world. And therefore, I think they have to start looking at this as they expand their services. So while they're not legally culpable, I think taking additional responsibility is only a good move from a large global organization.
Should be done. Dr. Sudhir Krishna, what should be done by the administration here onwards? Our reporter on the ground says now retrospectively, of course, there are all these signages as well as barricades which have come up. But what should be done to ensure it doesn't happen again?
One thing, Meghna, you have yourself said that, signages, etc. This must be followed, number one. And number two, the Google Map is quite helpful. But for Google Map, you can't reach anywhere today. I mean, because these are highways, and on highways, you can't stop every second mile and ask people whether I should take right turn or left turn.
Yes.
So therefore, Google Map is okay. And we have to be careful, as your viewers also said, and other panelists also, Mahesh Saab also rightly said. But the people also have to follow rules also. In the cities, if I can come back a little bit, that, nowadays we are noticing that people are driving on wrong side more and more. It was not there so much before. Now people are more, reckless and driving on wrong side and waiting for a traffic constable to be there. Otherwise, they will jump the signals also.
Yes.
Lead to accidents. So some responsibility on the people also, I would say.
You're absolutely right. Safe driving is the responsibility of every driver as well. And no matter what technology comes up with, no matter what the administration does, till we imbibe it in ourselves, it's unlikely to change. Let me go across to one of our viewers, Suresh, calling us from Bengaluru. Go ahead, Suresh.
Yeah, my thing is, it is not only blaming the GPS or authority, okay? It is first the driver. Before that, the thing comes is from the authority of national highway. If it is state highway, they are supposed to place a barricade. Many places we have seen they are keeping drum with sand and chain link. This could have been done at least in the starting of the bridge itself. And one more in the center. This could have been avoided because driver will see the first instance that this should be done. This many interviews, this many news would have not come. You should have not misled. Later on, blaming only Google, it is not acceptable. Okay, first this should have been done first hand, then everybody would have been in place going for claim and all. It is not later part. Why the first chance? Why there was no barricade? I don't know. It may be there. It was not there. Yes. Overgone like movie.
You're right. A probe should be conducted to find out if action is only being taken retrospective or proactively or not. Thank you so much for calling us. Let me go across to Mahesh, our viewer, calling us from Bengaluru. Go ahead, Mahesh.
Hi. So I think it's more of basic common sense and, driving sense, where today, whether you're a literate or you're an illiterate, people do not have the basic driving sense in India. Right? If you look at the pictures of this particular bridge, it is not that it is a very short bridge of probably 100 meters where somebody would have just, fallen out of the car. It's such a huge bridge and somebody has traveled so much. So it is not about, just pointing fingers at technology. Use the technology properly. I've used technology even when we never had, smartphones. I've had GPS on my car. It's given almost around 90%, accurate results. So I don't think it's just to blame somebody saying that technology, GPS doesn't take you safe. It does take you safe, but it all depends on how the user uses it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for calling us with your views. Let me go across to Ram Krishna, one of our viewers, calling us from Chennai. Go ahead.
Hi. Pretty much people have covered what I wanted to say, but I am shocked still seeing your visual on the screen. The bridge appears to have been completed quite a long time ago. And there are so many people to be, to answer for this kind of negligence. First and foremost, when the bridge is not complete on the one side, it should have been barricaded on the other side. Whether it's responsibility falls with the contractor or the local administration, I don't know. But you can probe further how this bridge, which has been literally completed without access on one side, was left open for public to travel. First and foremost, that is my shock. Still, I'm still seeing the screen and I'm unable to digest how it can happen. Yeah, GPS helps definitely, but Google is not with a sixth sense. It just gives us a guideline. We have to use our common sense. That is the second part.
Absolutely.
But gross negligence on people concerned with the builders and the local administration who gave the order, etc. That need to be broken.
Gross negligence, and I couldn't agree with you more. Let me quickly take in our last viewer in the show. Arvind is calling us from Delhi. Go ahead, Arvind.
Yes, actually what I wanted to say is it's a little contrarian view. I want to appreciate what Google is doing and what GPS is doing. All these years, we never had GPS, and now most of us, or many of us, are relying on the GPS or Google services. But at the same time, Google services or the GPS is not real time. It is not real time, and no matter how much technology advances, the dynamics of our road conditions, not just here but anywhere else also, they keep changing all the time. So it is nothing constant. And for that reason, the GPS can never be 100% updated at a point in time. But we must appreciate the kind of service GPS is given. All I want to say is that on the GPS, they must give a cautionary note and in bold that please use your driving skills and the actual road conditions. Just this much. This is enough so that people are alert.
Absolutely. People need to be alert that it's an aggregator. It is not a real-time update when it comes to data such as whether a road is under construction or not. Let me quickly bring in another one of our viewers because I believe we have very little time left. Janti, our viewer calling us from Madurai. Go ahead.
Yeah, hello.
Yes,
I just got an incident some few years back. My mother had an accident, so she got an emergency surgery. So me and my brothers, we never used that area before. So we go for a blood bank, and he put on the GPS, and we are going. Nearly 1 hour we are going and searching for the place using this GPS. This is inside the city. Not even the outsides or anywhere. And we couldn't find that place at all. In the end, we ended up in the culvert, culvert we ended up. Then after, we just asked some persons nearby and it took another 1 hour for us to come to the blood bank again. So from that onwards, I never use GPS on the Google or anything. So I just ask the people nearby and I go. This is my experience.
That is, of course, the old way that we used to do things, isn't it, before GPSs came around. But I really appreciated all you viewers calling us today on Blueprint Explosive Exclusive. Also, Lloyd Matthias and Dr. Sudhir Krishna for joining us with your expert news. Well, all I can say as we wrap up, perhaps, is that today we need to ensure that when we go back home, we don't have over-reliance on this device. Yes, your Google map will take you home. Your GPS aggregator will take you home, but don't forget, you have to use your driver's instinct. Nothing can compensate for the lack of human instinct, and no technology can make up for that. We leave you with that thought. Thank you so much for watching. A quick break. We return in 2 minutes.